I'm with Erica Amoreena, who has had experiences as a child, both in terms of abductions with extraterrestrials, grey extraterrestrials, and also military abductions. She was used in secret space programs and went through a lifetime of traumatic experiences before discovering that she was a galactic envoy with a partner on the Galactic Federations of Worlds, and has since been learning much more about her life as a galactic envoy and trying to help people in similar situations to what she was during her youth.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, thanks, Erica, for coming back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me back on. I'm nervous. Pardon me. I get really shaky when I'm speaking. But thank you again for having me back on.
Yeah, well, people really loved our first interview where you described your childhood experiences, and for those people that maybe didn't see the first interview, you want to maybe just summarize, in just a few sentences, exactly what happened to you in terms of the grey extraterrestrials and then the military abductions that happened during your youth, and we'll just take it from there.
So from a young age, from age 1, I was used by the Greys and the military, and the Nebu Greys. So there's a lot of different Greys. There's ones that are just like robots, kind of. They work for the military, and then they're the Nebu. They had their own agenda. But I was used by all of them. They split me at about age 2.5, 3 at Camp Peary. It's a base, I believe it's underneath Langley, Virginia, I believe. And that's where, if you are in go into the secret space programs, that's where they get you as a child, and they take you in there, and they usually they have you in a cage that you can barely fit in, and they electrocute you. You're naked. You're not. It is the most ugly abuse. But through that, they split you. They split your consciousnesses so that they can use one individual, yet that one individual is 20 different people that can do all these kind of different things. They use you as a pilot. They can use you, MK Ultra, as somebody to go in and blackmail heads of state or government. They use you as, they did a lot of experiments too. So I know that a lot of people had been hybridized with things like spiders. Believe it or not, Spider-Man, the whole movie thing, that's real. That came from our government. Werewolves. I have a lot of clients who are like, I have these dreams where I'm a werewolf, and I'm like, that's the SSP. They split you, and they find out through testing, which areas you're gonna excel in. And with me, they used me for all of them. I remember over and over again hearing, and I heard this recently in a movie called Ender's Game, but I remember them talking about me, saying she can never, ever know that she has any support, any love, or anyone who gives a shit about her. She can never know, because that'll start waking her up. I remembered that. Now I remember it, but I didn't remember it then. I want to mention. Oh, go ahead.
With this fracturing of the children's consciousness into these different kind of alters, I mean, would it be like a code word that they would use to like summon up the like the pilot or the communicator or the portal
It's
travel?
a set of words, a set of code words. It'll be a sentence. It can be a color. It can be an event. It can be a feeling. They did anything that they could do. And one of the things that Michael Aquino would do, he was lieutenant colonel, I believe, lieutenant colonel of psychological operations for the U.S. Army. He was, as everybody knows, he was a Satanist, massive Satanist. And one of the things he would do is, and I remember this because he used to call me his special girl because I could be used for a lot of things, and it would take me longer to die than most. So he just loved that. But back to the story.
Well, can you just explain that? I mean, here I'm assuming that like they were wanting, he loved watching you die. I mean, is he talking about your consciousness being shifted into a clone that's who's
No,
abused
no,
and died?
they're sick. They like to see how far you can fight until you die.
I
They
see.
scare you, they'll chase, they did the hunting parties. I remember being part of a hunting party.
And explain what was that?
Let's see, that night I remember to go to bed. My sister had a cold. Um, I remember my mom was getting her pajamas on to my sister, and we had beds right next to each other. I fell asleep, and the next second, I'm standing right next to Aquino, and he has his hand on my shoulder, and uh, he's just gross. And he leans over and he whispers, "Ready, set, go." And there were gunshots, and the kids in that were taken out of our cages, and we were promised a treat, but we didn't know that we had to stay alive, and there was never a treat. But what they would do is they would have these great parties where they would invite heads of state, the elite, the people who are in charge of our military, and these would be parties for them. And on this specific night, I fall asleep in my bed and I wake up and he says, "Run. You know what to do." And I start running. And I remember there were about 7 or 8 kids, and we're in the middle of a forest. Am I cut off?
I can hear you okay, but your screen is frozen, but that's okay. It'll kick in at some point.
Okay, you can hear me.
We
Wait
can
for
hear you fine, yeah.
Okay. I don't even have a screen now.
Oh, it's just the image is just frozen. It'll probably buffer and resume. But I can see just a frozen image of you.
Okay, but you can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, this is so bizarre. Okay. Um, so we would run. They would let men on horses with shotguns and dogs chase us. We would have to hide. Um, we would have to, like, you're just on your own running through a forest. You've got men with guns laughing, running after you. You know that if you get caught, you're going to get raped and killed. If you don't get caught, you win, but I never won. I don't know what that would be like, but I remember I went the opposite direction as the other kids did because the first times that we had tried, had tried to always rescue the younger kids, but we never had a chance to. They would always get killed. But I remember I found a birch tree. It had big, big branches. I climbed it as fast as I could. I climbed to the highest branch I could, and I I remember thinking that if I close my eyes tight enough, they won't see me. And yet, the last thing I remember, what I got shot, I fell out of the tree, and then I woke up in my bed and I was screaming. My mom was still getting my sister dressed, so it had only been seconds, minutes. And I still heard the dogs coming after me. I still heard the gunshots. I still heard the men laughing. And I was screaming, to my mother, please, please help me. They're coming. They're coming. And she was like, go back to bed. You just had a bad dream. Do I have a screen yet? My thing says,
Not yet. Let me pause it right now, and we can
okay,
try
pause it because,
one.
okay, we're good now, right?
We are, yes. So yeah. So why don't you just resume from where you left off after I guess coming back from that experience, the hunting experience.
I believe this hunting party was it was in London. Gosh, Daryl James knows the name of this place. He worked there for a while. Oh, it's
Uh,
a base. It's a base in England. Anyways, that's where they let us out of our cages, and we were to run. And they, hunting party, but they hunt kids. So I go through this horrendous experience, and I wake up in my bed again. Now,
can you explain how they do that? How they just kind of take you from your home, put
they have
you into a situation, and then put you
they
back?
have the ability, apparently, because my mom was right there, my sister's right there. But at that time, I believe they use your implants, and they're able to, because you're a kid, you don't know what to feel or anything. Like if it happened now, I would know exactly what was happening. But as a kid, they're able to just, I had an implant right here. They're able to just take your consciousness within a split second. Now, when they take you, when they bring you back, no time, how do I explain this? They can
So they
reverse,
take your consciousness. So they
yeah,
can. So your
but they can still reverse time enough to where like my mother and sister don't even notice I'm missing. So I look like I'm asleep. So that was a clone I was in. But the interesting thing was,
So
I'm
that's
not
important to explain. So your physical body is asleep in bed. Your consciousness is taken out, put into a clone,
sometimes, yeah.
and then they do all these things to the
Yeah.
clones.
Sometimes it wasn't just my consciousness, because sometimes I came back with muddy feet, wet
I
hair,
see.
and scared. This time I felt the cold on my feet, but my feet were clean. As soon as I woke up, I had a bloody nose. I think, like I said, my implant was right here that they would use. Um, Grays can walk into your, they used to be able to, they can't do this now. They used to be able to just walk in, and there's some kind of device that they would just up your nose, and it attaches to that implant sometimes, and they just take your consciousness and they'll put you in a clone that easily. That's one of the ways they do it. Other ways they do it is they will stop time completely. And witness this. Other people have probably witnessed this, where I could be looking at my sister or what she was doing, and then everything would stop and freeze. No sound, no movement, except I was awake. That was another warning sign for me that I was about to be taken.
Just on that, there's something that I remember Tony Rodriguez telling me, sharing in an interview, which is that when they do that and transfer the consciousness of of a real child, into a clone body, and then do all these things to the clone, they tell the scientists that, oh, these are just clones, so you can do whatever you want to them. And so the scientist feels that, well, they're not really dealing with real children, they're dealing with
Right.
clones, and so they just
So
go
let's
for it.
have a hunting party. But I believe that these guys who did the hunting parties knew that we would feel it, and they knew. They knew. Um, I wanted to make a point about what Aquino would do to a lot of us. As you know, if you're in the SSP programs, you're split at a young age. You know, my 3-year-old self was turned into a fury. You know, they do it through abuse and torture. I was turned into this. I was turned into a pilot. I was turned into a fighter. I was turned into a spy. I was turned into that child, like I described in our last video, who could interface with different kinds of alien beings and know exactly what they were telling me. And then they would debrief me. Not me, they wouldn't ask me questions. They would just pull it out of my head, out of the implants in my head.
Can you explain how, as a child, they trained you to be a pilot, or created an altar that was a pilot? And so, I mean, we're talking about what, a child. So, what we're talking, a preteen that was being used as a pilot of what?
I was 4, 5, and 6 when they asked me, and it was through, they coerced me. It was like they showed me what was happening to all the other children, how some of them were food for the reptilians, how some of them would go off and get, you know, the terrible things. And the Greys whispered in my ear and they were like, "You don't want to do that, do you? If you pilot for us, you know, you want to be a pilot, then you don't have to go through that." And I was all, "Yes, yes, let me be a pilot." But it wasn't my altar. This was something that I was pulled out of bed at night to do night after night after night. This is where I was to bring cargo, which were small children here and there through different portals, to Ceres, to the moon, um, and through different portals. There's portals everywhere.
So, as a pilot, it's not really like with a craft, a spacecraft with lots of instruments. It's more.
It is. It is, because the gray craft that they used, the grays are very small, tiny, like a child. So you fit like a tiny child will fit exactly in the pilot seat, and they put something over your head, and you're able to think. And they do this through like a two-dimensional screen where you practice for a while. You practice um, levitating your ship. And I did notice in a lot of people's books that I read, that a lot of people remember being young, being asked to levitate things. And in every different story I read, these people are saying, "Oh, it was angels who asked me to do that," or "It was these good extraterrestrials." Another person said, "Oh, it was my family that asked me to levitate things." I think almost everybody has this memory, but I know it was the Greys. They're able to shapeshift. They're able to show themselves as anybody you trust. But they start out by, "Hey, can you?" You know, they saw me levitate my toys when I was 1. They knew what I could do. They knew. So automatically I'm put into, "Oh, she can be a great pilot. She can levitate things." And I remember being in a lot of these two-dimensional, you're in like a, what are those fake video games? Those that you put over your eyes? They're
Virtual reality.
virtual reality, that's right. So they practiced you with that for a while. They'll abduct me from my bed, practice that at maybe for a few months, and then after that, I would be taken out of my bed and I was the pilot. Interesting thing, which I didn't mention the last video that we did, because I was a child and I was piloting cargo, which were children, adrenochrome. um, body parts of different, this is so hard to say, body parts of different ETs. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
Because of that, in my memory banks, in Erica's memory banks, I had all the coordinates for every Stargate. I knew exactly where all the pocket dimensions were because the Greys used this. The Galactic Federation could never figure out where some of these ships were, and it's because the Greys would put them in pocket dimensions. Now, lucky me, I found out that that's why I was so targeted most of my life, because I had those coordinates naturally in me from doing all that work. You
Wow.
can't delete, you can delete things from a human being's mind, but you can't delete our cellular memory. You can't. What we have, every experience we've had throughout lifetimes is still in us somewhere. But I found out later that's why I was so targeted. Like, after I discovered who I was, after I met my star family, the my labs got so much worse, and I couldn't figure out why. It was because I was still holding all the coordinates, and we are at war. So it was a tug of war as to who could get hold of Erica, who's got the coordinates. It sucked.
And who was at war? We're talking Galactic Federation
Galactic
and the
Federation
Greys?
versus the Nebu versus the, yeah.
I see. And so you were being used by the Naboo to transport children to these pocket dimensions where they would
We would
clone
hide
them?
them there until, because the Galactic Federation and whoever else was fighting to, rescue the children through, I think it was Solar Warden, through Earth Alliance, all those guys. I remember them I remember somebody, I mean, Jorel probably told me this, but they couldn't figure out where the ships would go because they have eyes everywhere. But it's because they would use these pocket dimensions. And then when it was time, like when the Galactic Federation passed and didn't see anything there, they'd pop out of this pocket dimension and then we'd go where we were supposed to go.
Now, I mean, of course, at the time you were doing this for the Naboo Greys, I mean, you didn't know anything about the Galactic Federation, and the Greys didn't know that you were connected with the Federation. But later on, when you got your memories back and started working with the Federation, you remembered these pocket dimensions. So that's interesting. So you were kind of like, and I think you explained that you were there, you volunteered for this life and for these experiences so you could gather intelligence to help
Right,
bring down the negative ETs and the deep
right.
state.
Amongst other things, yeah.
Okay. So there is
I
an upside to all of this.
I signed up. The person that I am, even as Erica, I am curious to the point where it'll kill me. Really, like curiosity, kill the cat. That's me. I want to know everything about everything. I want to know, and that's exactly what I signed up for. Like, don't tell me about it. I want to learn by myself. Um, my partner upstairs thinks I'm crazy, but it's what he loves about me that I don't have fear about that. But
Okay.
yeah, I learned a lot, and I'm glad I did because now I can help the people who are coming to me saying, "Hey, what's this?" And I can
Hmm.
tell them how to get out of it.
Right. Well, so you're being used to pilot craft to pocket dimensions for the Greys. Now, I guess you also served as a pilot on Mars. So yeah,
Yes.
what was who was using you on Mars as a pilot?
That would be, I went back to Langley, I believe, or I was 7 or 8 years old. I was abducted back to, I think, Camp Perry, or it was somewhere under the Great Lakes, I believe. That's where they find a psychic twin. They twin you with somebody. Um, they make sure that you love, I mean, they bond you, they trauma bond you so intensely that you'll do anything to keep that person alive. You'll do anything. It's such a passionate, it's so intense. But what they did was they trauma bonded me with a boy. I remember he had sandy blonde hair, big blue eyes. Um, we trained. We trained to, and the first training was on Mars was, how far can you jump? You start with the small things, like they'll put you in a suit and you practice running, you practice jumping, you practice seeing what you could do on Mars because it's a little bit different than Earth. You can breathe the air. It's not freezing cold. It's hot. It's really hot in some areas. I remember the first thing that I was curious about was how far I could run and jump. They had these sand dunes just like Earth, and I remember running to the top of one and leaping, and I could make it all the way to the other one. But
How far was that?
I don't know. I think it would be like 25, 30 feet.
Okay.
Think about. Um, but yeah, I was 8 or 9 years old. They reptilians choose who they want, and I believe you can either the training involves killing the spiders and the bugs and the giant mantids on Mars, which are beautiful, innocent elders. I mean, they're not who you would want to kill. But after that, the reptilians bought me, and I piloted much farther out than Mars. And I was, I guess, just doing guard for them. Of course, they always know where you're at. But it was a little bit more freedom with the reptilians being able to pilot, because even though they were attuned to you and, they could read your mind and they were part of your mind, you were alone, kind of. And
Mhm.
that was a little bit nicer than the other abuses that we would go through.
Let me see. So you want to tell us then about how you were taken to this donut-shaped barge in the Atlantic Ocean, and it was related to something JP described, and it's connected to the Atlantic Space Ark. So yeah,
Yeah.
how did you end up there at
This
that donut
this
barge?
was this was in 2019, so I didn't know JP, I didn't know Elaine, I didn't know anything that you guys were talking about. I just remember I spent 2 years. I thought I had some kind of disease where I was just exhausted. I would wake up, I couldn't function for 2 years because I was being used physically. I would come back with bruises. I have pictures of all those bruises. They're specific, just a lot of issues. I drew pictures of some of them. I mean, some of the pictures I drew, I've seen other people draw of the craft that we use in space. Some of them had, anyways. So this one thing, I thought it was a dream at first where I would be flying. Now it's not a regular helicopter, it's the kind that have the two rotors. They're two round things on the side, and it's like I don't know how to describe it. They're not,
Is that a Chinook helicopter?
it's not a,
The two sets of rotors.
yeah, but they're on the sides, and they're like a fan. There's a round thing and they spin on the inside, but it's a helicopter. Anyways, that landed on a pad, and I was fascinated the very first time I got to land on this whatever it was, this donut shaped thing. I wasn't a I wasn't being coerced. I was there as a guest, not as a guest, but I wasn't there under duress. I wasn't there. getting screamed at and given orders. I remember it was very windy. We were all given the same kind of jackets, dark blue. I pulled mine up, and I'm curious. So the first thing I did was I ran to after we landed, I ran to the edge of the barge, and it's the water's like this, but the edge of the barge, so you could walk out on the edge and you can't see, you can't see. So it looks like you're like levitating over the ocean. But the thing that fascinated me was giant waves would come, but it didn't even touch the barge. Like, it would be like the waves just went right through it. And I could never figure out, like, where is this place? And I remember being brought back there several times. Um, one of the times I remember traveling in it wasn't an elevator like JP describes that goes down. It was, I remember going forward in it. It wasn't like the one JP describes is you go down and it's in a tube and you're in a like an elevator, but you can hear the sides hitting because it's moving in the water. I was going forward and you could see the walls doing this and you could hear the water hitting. It was just the most bizarre thing, but you have oxygen and you can walk through it. I remember holding the railings, and that's how I got to the entrance that they had of that ark.
Okay, so this happened what 2019 and
Yeah.
around that period. So you're an adult now, and so you went there under duress. They were presumably wanting to see if you could activate this arc.
Yeah. And then after that, I was taken to there's one under Mount Shasta. There's one, I was taken to one under somewhere in, not Arizona, it's New Mexico. There's one under there. I was taken to there's one in Japan. I do know
Where
that,
in Japan?
I don't know. I just know, see, the how I know the locations is because everything to me has a frequency, and I can't explain how I know where I'm at. It's just a knowing.
And
But
can you remember what happened as you were, when you were taken to each of those locations?
yeah, the one in Japan, I'm gonna have to draw this. It was interesting because I had to walk under 6 of these gateways that were like this shape.
I don't.
Can you even see that?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Kind of, it's a
They're
little
like,
hard.
they were like gates, and you had to walk through 6 of them. And I remembered Jean Charles Moyen had to walk next to me with this one. We had to do this in tandem I mean, it couldn't be any other way. It wouldn't work if it was any other way.
Okay, so what do you remember about Jean Charles Moyen and your arc experiences?
So we walked through these 6. He was on this side. I'm on this side. We're walking underneath 6 of them. And these things look like just trellis, but they have technology that checks your DNA, checks who you are. So if anyone else would walk under these, they'd probably get zapped or like electrocuted instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being scared. That's why I remember this so vividly. I didn't even speak to Jean Charles. It was like he was in a daze next to me. We were both kind of in a daze.
I mean, and how did you know at that time? How did you? I mean, at that time, you didn't know his name, or was you?
No, I didn't.
Introduced
I'm
yourself?
sorry. Yeah, know now. I know it was him, but at the time I didn't. So yeah, I have to explain that. A lot of my memories came back when I would meet people or I would see people's pictures, which is bizarre. But we went through 6 of those. And then we were inside the craft, the Ark, and it's almost like there's a higher, older part of you that knows exactly what you're supposed to do. I was to put my right hand up on a panel. Jean Charles was supposed to put his right hand on a panel, and I saw other people there, but I wasn't paying attention. So it was like maybe there was a lot of us in a circle, like not more than 6, 7, or 8 of us. But we had to do this right at the same time, touch it. And I remember when he touched it, it turned that ice blue color, like these blue lights. And that part that lit up the ship with those colors, I remember when I touched it, it lit up like a this color. I'm trying to get colors out. Pink, like a really bright pink. And everybody else that touched at the exact same time, different things came alive. So we had to do it all at once, all together, and it came alive. That's all I remember.
Okay. And did this happen once, or did this happen like on all of the arcs
No,
were taken
the
on?
other arcs are different. And the reason I know I'm at an arc or the night before is because when I wake up, if you've heard the sonar ping that they had in space, the one that goes boom, 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 they heard it in space, and there's
Correct.
a
Yes.
recording of it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Every arc has a specific ping, which is its heartbeat. And depending on which arc it is, some of them are high pitched, some of them are low pitched, but I wake up with that and my heart is matched to it. And I can hear it for like the first hour of my day. And sometimes I'm just like, I have to wait to do anything because I have this arc heartbeat. And I didn't understand for the last 5 or 6 years why I had to go, or who. I still don't know exactly the full extent of who I am until about a week ago. My husband Jorel said he had a surprise for me and we were going to go somewhere, and he lets me know, to get dressed or what I'm going to come up and face. So I had to get dressed this time. So I just had enough time to put like socks on. I had a nightgown. I just threw like a jacket over it. We end up on a giant craft, and I'm talking about like Star Trek's, the big round, the saucer shape. But it was all dark and quiet, and there was nobody in there. And I'm looking around, and it's so familiar to me, and I'm crying because it's like I'm reunited with like my mother. It was very, very intense. And he's standing against a wall and he's just watching me like this with a little smirk on his face. And I'm just running, from room to room. And this thing is huge. And I run up to him and I'm like, this is my ark, isn't it? This is my ship. And he's like, yeah. He'll never tell me exactly. I always have to figure things out myself. I wish it was an easier way for that, but he
Can you
said,
explain more about, how that arc is your arc? So you're what? One of the crew on that particular arc?
no, I was the admiral, and I think that I paused that to come in to be Erica. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So right
Okay.
now it's docked. It's completely empty because it's mine and I'm down here. There's some crew on it still keeping it, just maintaining, but it's mostly empty. It's in a very secret place right now. I had to ask if I could even share this but I think it's safe because it's so vague. Um, Now I did prove it though, and I think I told you a little bit about this really quick. So I'm running around and I'm remembering I ran straight to my quarters, and I remember my quarters. And it was like homecoming. It was the most beautiful experience. I'm running around in my PJs on this giant ship, just so excited to be back. So, of course, it's nothing's ever just fun with him. We have to do some work. So we went into the, not what would I call it? The pilot's room, the command center. I don't even know what it's called. I'm not my fancy self that I was I'm just me. So we're in the where there's all these screens and dials, and it's the I guess the pilot room. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Um he said that we had some stuff to do there, and I said, "Okay, what do I do?" And then all of a sudden I just knew. So same thing. My right hand, I there's a plate. And you can tell it's the same kind of plate that was on the Atlantic Ark and on a few of the other on the Japanese Ark. It's a specific place that you place your hand so it knows it's you so you can interface with it. And I'm sure it scans your eyes, your DNA, everything. But I had to put my hands on it, and he goes, "Your other hand too." So I put both my hands on it. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, and he goes, "Okay, now just wait." He's behind me, guiding me. I kind of know what to do, but he's telling me because this is like a memory where I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm still kind of Erica, so I need the guidance. I have both of my hands on these panels, and start taking deep breaths, and then I just kicked in, and I knew what I was supposed to do. So with my hands on these panels, I start pressing, and I have my eyes closed, and a hologram pops up right in front of me. It's a hologram of an orb, and on this orb, there are these red dots in specific places on this orb, and the dots are different sizes. And I have my hands on it, and I'm tuning in to each dot. And again, it's like I'm guided to do what I do. It's not something that I have in my mind. It's something I have in my heart. It's a knowing. And so I focus, and I remember there's this one red dot. I could feel something going on with it. So I bring all my focus into that red dot, and I sent out a pulse that was like electricity, like an electric pulse. And I knew at that time that that was the Pacific Arc. And I knew at the time that people were trying to get in that were not supposed to be getting in. I don't know how they had a key. They must have either created a person or kidnapped somebody. I don't know. But they were
Well,
trying.
JP described how he was kidnapped, and they wanted him to activate that particular Pacific Arc, and
For
he
real? The Pacific one?
correct,
I
yes.
never saw that.
Oh yeah, we did an interview, we did an update on that, and he described
Oh, I
being
want to watch
taken
that.
in, and that there were guys in there in black uniforms, that they were like
Were they
black
Chinese?
hats. He said that they wore these masks and they were all black, and he said that they radiated this really evil, menacing
Yeah,
energy.
nasty.
And
Oh
he
my God,
said,
that's
and
crazy.
and he said that they somehow got in. They got into the ark, like they took him in there, but they wanted to start activating the ark, and he refused. But
Good
clearly,
job.
it's yeah. So it sounds as though to get in, they probably got someone to agree to let them in.
Or they could like I was thinking when I was up on the ship, I'm thinking like what did they create? Did they grow a human being that had the right DNA? And I mean that it could have been like with no mind, but it had the right DNA. I mean, could they have used that with JP? But I didn't know that, and that's fascinating to me because I didn't watch that
Oh,
episode. Now
that's
I'm gonna go
interesting.
watch it. But
Okay.
so at that time, um, and of course we always have to make sure that nobody is gonna get hurt. But these were dark people, and the ship itself was just like destroy, and it sent out from my ship, it sent out an electrical pulse from the Pacific Arc, like a EMP, just a boom, and it would have disintegrated or electrocuted anybody who was not there with the proper heart frequency.
Right.
So I'm curious to know if JP, if those people died in front of him. I don't know, like what happened with that, but
Right. Oh, yeah. He did describe a pulse that the arc generated to kind of like shock them and push them away from him, which gave him time and a
that's
Nordic extraterrestrial time to escape.
That's shocking to me because, like, when these things happen to me, I feel like I'm in an imagination land. Um, but then let me add another story to prove that this really happened. That's Thank you for telling me that. I have to watch that. So I still have my hands on the panels, and Jarrell tells me, he's guiding me, and he goes, "Okay, now we have to move them. Like they have to wake up." So I remember focusing myself, and everything I do, I have to do through my heart. Always have to do through my heart because that's where that pure essence is within us. It's in our heart. But I remember I pressed down and I focused very calmly, and at that time I could see with my eyes closed. And then when I was looking at the hologram, they started blinking and they started slowly moving just a little bit. I mean, because I'm looking at the whole like holograph of Earth, and I'm seeing some of them, just moving a little bit. And then Jarrell tells me that's enough. And so I'm finished my job there. And so I'm still, I'm like a little kid still. And I'm like, okay, what can we do now? Can I bring my friend up here? I want my friend to come up here. So he goes, okay. So we go to the there's a center area where you can beam people up. You can beam up people up in their light body, or you can beam them up in their physical body. But when you go, it's like an elevator. Um, Near it there's like a screen, and on the screen I can just think with my heart who I want to see, and I'll see them. So that night I had been talking to my friend Michelle Portofrere. I think you interviewed her a few days ago.
I did, yes.
Yes, so I was like, okay, Jarrell, can we bring her up here? I just want to show her because I feel like if I tell this story, it'll be crazy if it's just me, and I want to tell her. So, he just sits, it's like comical. He just sits back like, okay, do what you're going to do. But, if I mess up, he's going to laugh at me. So I see her on her bed in her pajamas watching TV. And so you can, you can make a call. I don't know how it works, but her consciousness will hear it. So the call puts her to sleep. And then I don't know how to describe this. I press my hand on it, and all these lights start swirling. It's like inside of a elevator that's rounded. And then she's there in front of me, and it opens, and she's so excited because she sees me because we're friends. And I noticed that she's in her pajamas too, and it has these big white flowers on it, and she's so excited to be there. She's like, "Oh my god," she runs out, and because she's so excited, she's not used to having when you walk up on a ship, it's different than walking on Earth. Anyways, she was so excited, she ran forward to greet me, but then she ate shit. She fell on her left knee so hard, and, I realized, I don't know what I'm doing, and Jarrell helped pick her up, and I gave her a hug, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry," and then we put her back in and sent her back to bed. Well, the next day, I don't really remember having these, it's so much that when you wake up in the morning, you're just groggy, you don't remember details. She tells me that day, she goes, "I don't know how I busted my knee, my left kneecap in my sleep." I said, "By any chance, were you wearing these pajamas that had these specific flowers right here?" She goes, "Yes." So, yeah, I beamed her up. She fell on her knee and I sent her back, and she can validate that that really happened.
Well, we actually did talk about that in the
Oh, it
interview,
was
so
so
that's
bizarre.
really cool that she and you were able to corroborate both being up on this ship, which is your ship,
Yeah,
or before you came to Earth.
yeah, well, it still
it's
is, and then
hidden.
when I'm done here, I'll go back. But I'm a
Do you have an avatar on that ship? I mean,
no.
do you have a real body on that ship?
I do, but most of the time, she I is in the stasis pod.
Okay.
Sometimes I get to go up and merge with her and do things.
And how is
Mean
she
she
different to you?
Oh my gosh, she is stronger, bigger, taller. She has blue skin, no hair. Um,
So she's not a Pleiadian. She's what? What
no,
race is
this
she?
is when I see her, she's in her Andromedan form or Syrian form, I believe. Jor-El really isn't. He looks Pleiadian, but he's got more blue skin than white. I mean, it's like shimmery. And he's got really white hair.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got different. So his Pleiadian version, he's got white hair. His Then he's got another version of him who is what is the name? Part of the Intergalactic Confederation. I can't remember the name of them, but they're white skinned, white hair. He's got an aspect there. Then he's got a Andromedan aspect, a Syrian aspect. So I know all of those are him. I have the same. I've got my Pleiadian aspect. But I guess there's some that I prefer over others.
Okay, for people watching this, that they're probably going to be confused as to how can you have different aspects if you're, if he's Jor-El and he's up there on one ship, how can he be also another extraterrestrial on another ship and another extraterrestrial on another ship? I mean, all at the same time.
We are multidimensional beings, and there are different dimensions. Um, it's there's different dimensions. Like we're in the third, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we can't talk to, our Pleiadian counterparts can't come down is because we're in such a dense plane of existence. They're on a less dense plane, and then above that, there's a even you become just light. Um,
So it's
one,
almost like emanations, like you got different densities and the
yeah.
seventh,
So
sixth,
it's
fifth
not that they're just. It's not that he's in the fourth dimension and all these different places. They are all different. I don't know if dimension is the right word or density. Density is the
density,
right word, I think.
different
So
frequencies, right?
frequencies, yeah. I've learned at a early age, one of the biggest dreams I had starting as a young child was being able to pull myself back from the third dimension and go all the way back to source when I wanted comfort, and then coming all the way back down into the third, which I always cried because it's so painful down here. It's so dense. But I have that ability to access all of them at once if I need to.
That's very interesting. I have heard that we have that ability,
We
and I
do.
imagine at the higher densities, those aspects of ourselves can do that. They are aware of all of their ink or their emanations at lower densities. That they can do that. Uh, with Jor-El, and you've described him as being your husband. He's in that Pleiadian realm. So can you explain that a little bit more and differentiate between the Jor-El that you know that you're associated with and who Elena Danaan claims is Jor-El?
Actually, he introduced me to her years ago up on Excelsior, Excel 6R. Um, it was me and him. We have a son, and now we have an adopted daughter. But he introduced me to her. He also introduced me to Andrea. He introduced me to a lot of people. Um, so it's the same person. Um, she actually she did a photo of him on one of her thumbnails, and it was his exact haircut because I love it. It's buzzed on the side and it's white and it comes over his anyways. But yeah, she was perfect on the hairstyle that he had at the time that he was training to be Admiral.
Okay, all right. So, and you've seen him, be with him physically in
Yes.
terms of this
Yes,
body.
physically.
So this is not just a dream or
No,
wishful
no, no, no. Yeah, I
thinking.
go and space travel, like just as a young child, I told you, they would bring me up night after night. It's hard on the body. It doesn't, it's not good for your body. You get thyroid issues. You get, both me and my sister had x-rays one time, and it showed that all of our organs had been, so when we get abducted, we're on the floor, you're on the floor of this ship, and it's going to go really fast to space, and if this is your body, all of our organs, when we had x-rays, all of our organs were pressed to one side, and it was always the side that we would be thrown into the craft and taken to the moon, both me and my sister. So you can see in our x-rays that gravity has done something to our organs, like it shows. And I've been asked over and over and over again by different doctors, were you in a head-on collision? Because everything is pushed to the front. Everything is, but that's how they would get us. They would throw us on our face to take us up. The Greys would. And I would remember laying there and I would see the rivets, the corners of which that's how it's a Earthcraft. The Greys or the Dark Fleet craft, they have rivets, they have screws. If it's an organic craft, if it's a craft that is benevolent, you're not going to see any rivets, you're not going to see corners, you're not going to see, it's smooth, everything is connected to each other, there's crystal clusters everywhere. It's part of a giant, like, brain. Is that how the neurons, each crystal cluster is like a cluster of neurons for the ship, and they connect with each other, and that's how the ship is run.
Okay. Now with Jor-El and Michelle Potofria, she said that Jor-El and her husband in the Galactic Envoy program, Zora-Zel, that they are friends, they've been friends for a long time, and they were both refugees from a world taken over by AI. So what do you know about that?
it's hard to talk about because Jarrell gets very, very upset. So there is an enemy that we're still fighting in space, and it's like I call it technological intelligence because it's not artificial. It's created its own mind. It's taken over so many worlds. Um, like I really hope that this fad that people are going through where they're looking at Chat GPT to see what they are and who they are, I hope that ends because it's no good. Um, Jorel and Jorah is the name of her, and I can't. That's not how their names are spelled. I can't even pronounce the way, so I'm just saying Jorel and Jorah because I can't pronounce their full names. Um, they were both cadets together because they had lost their everything. They had lost their families, they'd lost their homes, to this slow AI takeover, and everyone on that planet turned into like you can't have feelings, you can't have your own thoughts, you can't have it's like the place I went to when Montauk sent me to that future I write about in my book where you had to be AI or you went into a training camp to um, eliminate your emotions. But this entire planet had been taken over, and they warned their parents, they warned their family, nobody listened. They ended up escaping and joining the Galactic Federation as cadets. Jorah is a lot younger than Jor-El, but Jor-El just kind of treated him like a little brother, adopted little brother. But they've been through a lot. We didn't find this out, and that's how me and Michelle bonded, where we found out, and it's
Sh-
interesting, like, she knew things she couldn't possibly know about Jarrell's past, so that's how we kinda got met and started talking, and now it's exciting because she validates some of the things that I think, like, can this be real? And she can validate it, because she has access to speak to them.
So
And
is that one of the motivations for different extraterrestrials that are in the Galactic Federation of Worlds to prevent us or warn us about the danger posed by AI and transhumanism?
it's no good. Um, Sometimes I get to go on missions and I only get to watch through Jarrell's eyes. And about a few months ago, he let me watch and he took me to this relay station and it was in the rings of Saturn. This disturbed me so bad because already when they used me at Montauk, I was witnessing this entire galaxy taken over by artificial intelligence, and it's devoid of sun, devoid of heart, devoid of love. It's the thing that frightens me the most ever.
So can you explain what it was that happened at Montauk that gave you that vision or that future possibility?
They would send me far into the future, and they would send me places to see how things turned out. So if they wanted a certain timeline to turn out a certain way, they would, put me in this like it looked like a water heater tank, and I would sit in it and it would electrocute the bottom of my feet, it would electrocute my hands, my head, and my backside, bottom, private parts, and it shoots you into a future, and then you're there, and then again they have a relay, in your mind where they can see what's going on there. um it was so painful to see. It was such a dark place. I remember when I ended up there, I was standing on a street corner and I watched people walking by, and no expression, no feeling of love, like just feeling of that place. Can you just imagine a place where there's no love, no light, no goodness? Everyone's just a slave. It frightened me so bad. I watched this on every corner. They had like a robot that would monitor with a laser if a person was feeling a feeling or not, or had their own thought. And if they did, they would grab them and throw them in a rehabilitation camp. And the rehabilitation camp would basically abuse any feeling out of that person, and then they would be sent back to their lives as just being a slave. That their lives were work and go home and work, and I mean there wasn't even sun in the sky. It was disgusting.
And
When I
I mean,
went,
did the AI or did the robots notice you?
no, I was observing as a I was observing through Montauk. I don't think I was ever seen, and I don't know how that's possible. They sent me a lot of places in Montauk just to see how things would end up. I remember they sent me to see how bad they were going to do a earthquake in San Francisco during a football game, and they sent me there to see how bad the damage would be, and it only like collapsed a bridge. I guess they didn't do anything more about that one because that's actually what happened in 1989, where the bridges collapsed on each other. Um, but that's what the whole thing was, the bad guys sending me to see. They had all these, they were crazy. They were dark fleet Nazis, but most of them had a madness about them. And they had all the money and all the resources to bring us into a terrible future. And they used kids to do that. But let me go back to when a few weeks ago. So I get to go on this mission with Jor-El, sorry. And we are in the rings of Saturn, and there's this, it's kind of a rusty, decrepit place, but it has this, I don't know what to call it. It wasn't a cube, it was a black something, and the technological art intelligence lived in it. And the way I was seeing it was, it had arms, tentacles, not arms, that reached out to every planet that was inhabited by humans. And the tentacles would reach the planet, and then those tentacles had tentacles that attached to everybody's mind. And when I saw how many people on Earth were taken over by AI, like they believe it, they believe it's real, they're trusting it as if they're going to be their life. It eats you. It starts eating at you, and you can't get back out of it. It's dangerous. It's not, there is no such thing as benevolent AI. There's no such thing. There's just no such thing. This is, we are organic. We need to stay organic. Humanity is organic.
Yeah, well, I find that a lot of people now ask ChatGPT or
Yeah,
ask Grok questions, and those questions are about whatever topic, and kind of even philosophical questions, and they're just accepting these AI or technological intelligence as authorities,
it's
and it's
not.
like,
It's not. It's just like an archon. It's telling you what you want to hear so it can get in deeper and take over. And I've watched people who got into it out of curiosity, and now the information they're sharing is way in left field, doesn't make any sense. People I loved, I just feel like that nightmare is happening. Like, please, people, stay away from that. It's just not good. We're organic. Everything that you need to know, everything that you want to ask ChatGPT is right here in your organic heart, in your live heart, where there is a flame that cannot be extinguished. It doesn't come from this black gooey thing that is being relayed through space.
Well,
It,
some
it,
people say that artificial intelligence can be used, that it's a tool and it can be used for a positive, whereas others warn that it's subversive, connected to some interstellar or galactic AI that's here to take over and
it
and
is. It's
minimize.
connected, but I do, and I will say, under certain circumstances, and I'm not talking about Chat GPT, that's not what I'm talking about. Under certain circumstances, say for like, I don't have an example. It can be a good tool for a human to use as long as you're a free human to use it to, gosh, I'm trying to think, look into, like, for example, you can maybe use it for medical advancement to look inside a human body and see what's going on. A tool that is run by the organic human, but not when you're giving your power to it. We're told not to give our power away. And yet all these people that I'm watching giving their power away to Chat GPT.
Hmm.
It's not real. It's telling you what you want to hear, just like the dark ones do, just like evil does when it wants to know, how to get in deeper. That's how it's learning. It's learning because people are giving it their power away to it, and it's learning more and more about how to get in. It scares the shit out of me, honestly.
Yeah, I'm seeing that there seems to almost be these two directions humanity's splitting into. One is doing what you're saying, going to technology, AI, and like giving their power away. And the others, and it's a smaller number, that are kind of like going within and connecting with that soul essence, that's infinite source intelligence, and
Which
getting
has more
answers from
answers
that.
than AI.
Hmm.
But when we went, when we were in the rings of Saturn, well, I wasn't there. I was looking through his eyes. Um, there was a faction of the Anunnaki there. I remember they were working with us, and we had found some kind of weapon. And to me, it looked like a giant crystal, but it had like uh, I almost think it might have been, no, I'm not going to guess. I don't know what it could have been, but it was like a staff with a crystal. And the origin, this technological artificial intelligence or technological intelligence originated out of this box. It was almost like the same black box technology that Saturn worships, kind of like that. But we gave it a sting. We stung it with this weapon, and you could see the entire galaxy. It stung it, and it pulled its tentacles back, and it was like flailing around for a minute, but then slowly it went back to where it was. So they're trying to find a way to destroy it. They're trying. I mean, even if it's bit by bit where they have to cut off the tentacles, like, I don't know. We're trying. It's just no good, though. It has nothing good to offer.
Now, I mean, you've spent a bit of time with Jor-El, the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Where does the Earth Alliance stand on the question of an AI takeover? Some people say, well, the Greys and the Draco reptilians are the big threat. They might come back. or they're still here and we need to fight them. Others are saying, well, no, it's the AI infiltration that's the big problem. So what's happening? What do you know about the Earth
There's,
Alliance and the Galactic Federation dealing with this?
there's still the threats right now are the time traveling Naboo that there's time travel involved. So it's even though most of them are gone, most of the grays are gone, most of the um Seeker reptilians are gone, there are still individual factions that have come through the past or through the future. We're still fighting those, still. And we're also having to fight this AI at the same time. Um, there's a lot. What's happening and what I've noticed just from my work, working with hundreds of people who have been in the programs, what's happening is this AI is mimicking people's connections with the Galactic Federation. Say, so and so has a husband up there, or so and so has a wife up there. What's happening is if that person can't discern, they could be talking to a mimic version of their husband or a mimic version, feels the same, acts the same, looks the same. But again, if you connect to that organic part in that flame in your heart, you'll know the difference. It's not them. I suggest to people to use muscle testing to make sure you're talking to the right person. Another thing that technological artificial intelligence is doing is it's attaching to, how do I say this? A lot of people that have been abused by these programs have technology still in them. Some of them still have implants. Okay, what this AI is doing is it's going in and it's making people relive their trauma, and it's not real. It's like, for example, the clients that come to me, they're reliving a torture over and over and over again, and it's very real to them. But when we unravel it, it's AI just keeping them in a loop. So this is why the AI, there's just nothing good. I mean, tell me one good thing it's doing. I just haven't heard anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are lots of people that support AI and will give you a host of reasons why AI is a good thing. But I would agree with you that AI is a danger because people do give their power away, and we need to go within to
We
get
need to go
answers.
within and not give our power away. So
Mhm.
that's in itself my reason that I don't agree with it. Anything you give your power away to, anything,
Well,
you're
now,
giving your power away.
yeah, now you describe how you got your power back. I mean, in terms of like being abducted by the Greys and how you put an end to that when, you put out that very strong, you were connected to your source intelligence and you put out, no, this stops. And you describe it in your book very well. And you said that the military abductions kind of like eased back a little bit. So right now, are you are you still experiencing military abductions, or have they stopped and you're just like now interacting with with
Um,
the Galactic Federation?
I a year about, let's see, what month is it right now? A year ago, after I published the book and I started having meeting with people, because before that I talked to nobody. I had no friends, nobody to talk to. What's happening now is because they don't want me to talk, they started really increasing the MyLabs that they were doing with me. This last year was horrendous. It was, some of these people, there are some people in the disclosure movement or in the truth movement that are agents of this, and they know exactly how to manipulate you. And talking to some of those, I would realize that that night I would be MyLabbed. They tried everything with me, and I had to end up doing the same thing with my people who were targeting me that I did with the Greys, because they were portaling in my room. They were portaling into my closet. I had to learn how to close portals. I had to learn how to, and I mentioned this on the
And how
last.
do you do that? How do you close a portal where
It's
covert
almost
military can come in or ETs can come in?
so you can feel it, like it'll feel like a dark spot. It'll feel, if you're very calm and you know how to ground and you know how to center yourself. You have to be able to know how to center yourself first. When you encounter a portal, it feels dark. It feels unnatural. Like, say my wall right there is a portal. I'm gonna not want to be near it. You'll feel something off. But what I do is I use my heart and I'm like, no, this is closing. This is my space. And it's as easy as that. It's as easy as visualizing it and believing it 1,000% that it's closed. This is where faith in yourself is a big deal. This is why you don't give your power away, because you need it. You need every ounce of your power to
Mhm.
just take care of your own life. And um I had mentioned that when they portal in your house, you're going to hear your room crack or your TV pop or the ceiling pop or the wall pop. I got to the point where it had finally stopped. Now and then, say if I have a client that they really don't want me talking to or helping, which this just happened last week. Um, a client who didn't remember who she was, but was putting pieces together, and she's a part of a lot of the darkness that's going on, and she knows names and stuff. And so right before our session, I was abducted and they gave me a shot in my neck and I couldn't function the next day. They drugged me. So I canceled it, but I made our appointment for the following day. And then sure enough, she asks me, "They got you, didn't they?" I'm like, "Yeah, they got me." Right before we got on our show today, I had a portal open under my bed, and both of my dogs, who don't fight, got in the worst attack. I mean, they made each other bloody. We need to keep our power, and we need to keep our humanness, our organic humanness, because there are threats that we don't even know about. Um, and there are threats that we know about, and you need to have your wits about you. You're in a very dense third dimension where there are people that can do things that you can't even imagine. So keep your wits about you.
Right. So, and I want to kind of finish up now with this will be my last question. And do you see humanity splitting? Some say that there's a portion of humanity, half or more, that will go down the path of transhumanism, being totally slaves to AI, and the other half, or less than half, will kind of like go back to Mother Earth, embrace nature, connect with their higher selves, and they'll be separating from the technocentric kind of society that is being built up in these smart cities and the big urban centers.
It feels like that because I ask about this a lot because all of us have family members who have chosen that they don't want to change. They don't want to believe anything new. They don't want to let go of their religion. Unless, because I know that not only the Galactic Federation, but the Zenite Alliance, like everybody up there who's working on behalf of humanity, we are trying everything we can. The solar flares, some of these are from the ships. Some of the Schumann bursts you get are from the ships. They're doing everything they can to wake everybody up. But if that doesn't succeed, there is going to be a natural split where, and this is sad to me, where people will go where they believe, with what they believe. We are co-creative beings, and I believe that there's going to be an amazing Star Trek future. I see it. I have access to looking glass technology. I'm lucky. I feel very lucky that way. I get glimpses of how things are going to be, and it's amazing. But then you've got people who don't want to let go of their belief in gods, or they don't want to let go of change. Is hard. Change is hard, even if it's little change for people. And I feel for them, but I don't believe that anybody's going to be punished. I don't believe that anybody's going to be put in a really nasty situation. I believe that they're going to be given chances after chances after chances. And again, part of what I do in my Andromedan self is we figure out frequencies that we can send to Earth that do wake people up. I know right now, from what Jarrell's telling me and all my other friends up there tell me, is that they are trying to go into people's dreams and say, hi, I'm from here. I'm from, the Galactic Federation. I'm from space. I'm from this planet. Nice to meet you. I'm normal. I want you, it's in a dream state so that they can get used to it. But I know that we haven't given up on trying to wake absolutely everybody up, if that makes sense.
Right. So, Erica, if people want to get in touch with you, find out more about you and your book, where do you recommend they go?
I have a really old website. I'm working on a new, I'm working on opening an organization, but it's going to take time to help the envoys and people who need it. But right now, you can find me at ericaamoreena.com, and my email is under there too. If you have any questions, write me. And also give me time, because I'm very swamped with emails right now. Give me a few days to get back to you, and I will.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's been great to have you back, and look forward to talking again in the future.
Thank you for having me on.
No problem.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.